He kept getting closer and closer to him until they were face to face. Then he nodded his head as if to say, "I'm here." In today's video, we'll dive into the mysterious story of the late artist Ezzat Abou Ouf and his life in the haunted house in Zamalek. Born on August 21, 1948, Ezzat Abou Ouf was one of Egypt's most prominent actors and musicians, achieving widespread fame in both fields. However, his personal life held a lesser-known, eerie aspect, as he and his family lived in a house that was reportedly haunted by spirits and strange occurrences. In this video, we'll explore the details of this unique experience and the eerie events that unfolded around Ezzat Abou Ouf and his family. The story began when the family of Army Officer Ahmed Shafik Abou Ouf moved into 10 Yahya Pasha Ibrahim Street in Zamalek, known today as Sri Lanka Street. This was the location of the famous Chicoril House during the 1950s. Shortly after they settled into their new home, strange events started to occur, transforming the sophisticated family's life into a brief period of horror. Interestingly, this horror was short-lived, because the family eventually became accustomed to the ghost and accepted its presence among them. The real horror story of Chicoril House revolves around the Jewish man of Italian descent, Moreno Chicoril, who came to Egypt to start a new life with his wife. He decided to open a clothing store, which quickly became one of the most famous and upscale clothing shops in Egypt, named Chicoril. Moreno was a father of 3 and decided to buy a house in Zamalek to live in, especially since his assets had reached £500,000 at that time. However, his peaceful life was short-lived. In 1927, 3 thieves broke into the Chicoril house, drugged his wife, and when Chicoril woke up, they stabbed him 11 times and stole all the jewelry and gold in the house. After this tragic incident, his family decided to leave Egypt, abandoning the house for 30 years until one family decided to buy it in 1957. This was the family of the late artist Ezzat Abou Ouf. Before we dive into the details of this eerie tale, please take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. Your support helps us bring more chilling stories to you. Now, let's get back to the story. Ezzat Abou Ouf's family, consisting of Ahmed Shafik Abou Ouf and his wife Samira Abdelkarim, lived a normal life in the house at first. However, Samira soon noticed strange breaths following her. She even called her mother to confirm that she also sensed these odd occurrences in the house, before the family started experiencing a series of terrifying events. According to accounts shared by Ezzat Abou Ouf and his sister Maha in several television interviews, their family home was haunted by spirits, particularly the ghost of Moreno Chicoril. Their mother first saw him months after they moved in, which terrified her so much that she fainted on the spot. Initially, no one believed the terrifying story of Ezzat Abou Ouf's mother until the same phenomenon happened to her younger brother, the uncle of the famous artist. At the age of 24, while sitting alone in one of the house's rooms, he was confronted by the sudden appearance of Chicoril's ghost. This happened while he was studying in the room where Chicoril was murdered, and at that time, Ezzat's father was traveling abroad. He felt someone's breath near his ears, and when he looked beside him, he saw a man wearing black pants, a navy blue sweater, and white hair walking towards the wall and then disappearing into it. From that moment, his hair turned white, despite being only in his 20s. Samira had never seen a picture of Moreno Chicoril before these incidents. Even after several sightings of the ghost, she didn't recognize who it was. It wasn't until she accompanied her husband to a Chicoril store to return a piano to the former owner's son. There, she saw a photograph on the wall and screamed in terror, realizing it was the same ghost that appeared in their home. The store owner confirmed that the photo was of his father, who had been murdered by thieves in the house. Ahmed Shafiq Abou Ouf, a former army officer, didn't believe the stories his wife and her brother told about the ghost. He remained skeptical until an incident 30 years into their stay forced him to reconsider. Ezzat Abou Ouf recounted on the television program The Family Home with host Nagwa Ibrahim that while the family was in Alexandria, his father stayed alone in the house. Having taken up music composition after retiring from the army, he was working on a musical piece. One evening, he forgot an important musical phrase and got up to fetch a glass of water. Upon leaving the room, he heard the forgotten tune being played on the piano. Initially, he thought he was imagining things. He completed his composition and dozed off, only to experience something even more startling. Ezzat Abou Ouf's father saw a thread entering the room through a hole in the door, gradually enlarging until it formed the complete figure of Chicoril. The ghost approached him, challenging him to acknowledge his existence by getting uncomfortably close to his face. This terrifying encounter made him flee the house in his pajamas and drive to his wife in Alexandria, finally admitting the presence of the ghost. This was the experience of Ezzat Abou Ouf's family living in the haunted house, but their fellow artists also had their own encounters. Ezzat Abou Ouf and his sister Maha recounted in several television interviews that actress Yousra had an eerie encounter at the house. Yousra herself described the night. After dinner, as the evening went on, Maha insisted I stay the night with her. I put on my tracksuit and we went to her bedroom. We chatted until we felt sleepy, which was around 3 in the morning. We turned off the lights and I prepared to sleep. Suddenly, I heard footsteps outside the room. Listening closely, I confirmed the sound was real and getting closer. Terrified, knowing only Maha and I were in the house, I woke Maha up, trembling. "Do you hear that?" I asked. She calmly replied, "Yes, but don't worry. Just sleep. I'll explain tomorrow." Ezzat Abou Ouf added to Yousra's story. "I remember that day well. I want to tell you that Yousra actually jumped out of the window in her pajamas and ran to her aunt's house down the street." Egyptian cinema legend Farid Shawqi also had a humorous yet eerie encounter with the house's ghost, as recounted by Maha Abou Ouf in a television interview. One day, the Abou Ouf family was hosting a group of artists: Farid Shawqi, Sohair El-Babli, Yousra, and director Mohammed Abdelaziz. The family spoke about Chicoril's ghost, which Farid Shawqi mocked. He loudly challenged the ghost, saying, "If this ghost is real, turn off the lights." To everyone's shock, the lights went out immediately. Farid Shawqi screamed in terror, vowing never to enter that house again. After a long time, the Abou Ouf family left the haunted house. They had grown accustomed to Chicoril's ghost and his periodic appearances with his classic look and lit lamp. It seemed that the ghost had also grown fond of them, as he was greatly disturbed by their departure. He harassed every subsequent resident until the house was eventually demolished, putting an end to the tale of the Jewish ghost forever. If you want to see more of the most frightening horror videos, check out our previous videos and subscribe to be notified of new, terrifying experiences. Until we meet again, be cautious of the supernatural and be careful when navigating through dark and eerie situations.